Now here's Ethan Evans. Rams took a 7th-round draft pick to take him. I could see why. Got an unbelievable leg. Trying to pin him inside the 10. Covey. And he does it again. Man, he's had a great day punting the ball.
Hello, my name is Ethan Evans, punter for the Los Angeles Rams, and I graduated from North Sur High School in 2019.
Tell us about your first year in the NFL.
It was definitely a wild ride for sure. Going from Wingate, the stadium held 1,500 people I think, and then SoFi Stadium holds 75,000. It was definitely a really cool experience getting to play in front of all those people, and just learning how fast the NFL moves, and just how much more complex the game is at such a high level. And just seeing all these world-class athletes, do their job, and it's just really cool, especially seeing like Puka Nacua, which I'm sure everybody's heard about. I mean, he's just an unbelievable guy, an unbelievable player, and he's just a great baller, and he's a great friend of mine. And, it was really cool getting to know him and get to know my other teammates, Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford, and it was really cool getting to know those guys and going out and just having fun and playing ball.
Did you know that In Steel, which is based in Mount Airy, put some of the steel in that stadium?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So you've got a little home connection there when you're playing there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of steel used to build that stadium. That's for sure. That stadium it's like the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. It's pretty unbelievable.
Tell us about draft day, whatever you want to say, your memories of that.
Yeah, draft day was probably the longest day of my life. It was day 3. It was there was 2 other days of draft that already went on. I was sitting there thinking, I definitely thought I had the abilities to get drafted, but I also knew with me going to such a small school, there was a chance I wouldn't. So I already had been on the phone with a couple other teams setting up free agent deals. But luckily, I told them, hey, I want to hold off until the end of the draft, and luckily I did. And 7th round came, and Rams called, and Les picked up the phone and said, hey, we're just going to cut straight to the chase. We're going to draft you right now, and whole house exploded. And I was trying not to cry as hard as I could, and it was a really awesome day getting to celebrate that with my parents, who had been my #1 supporter since day one, and obviously my grandpa, who's drove me all over Kingdom Come, going to kicking camps or colleges or just wherever I needed to go. And it was really cool getting to experience that with all those people there around me. I started playing football in 7th grade right up the road at Gentry Middle School. Wasn't a kicker at first. I was kind of tried to play other positions and try to actually play football, if you want to say it that way. But then, it was the classic story like, hey, we need a kicker. Has anybody played soccer? And I played soccer all my life up until that point. And I was like, hey, I can do it. And did it in middle school. Didn't really, take it that serious. Got to here, and I was kind of like, okay, I need to really focus on kicking now. Once I did, freshman year was pretty good, sophomore year was really good, and then my junior season came around, and that's when I looked at my parents and I was like, hey, I want to go play college ball. And my dad took that as an opportunity to just train me till I couldn't walk, or yeah. I'll keep it PG here, but my dad trained me really hard, and he kept me on a straight path. I didn't really have social media or anything throughout high school. I wasn't really focused on that. I was just focused on playing ball and being the best player that I could be. Then summer before my senior year, went on this massive road trip to different colleges. I went all the way up to Syracuse, New York, and gosh, I don't know how far down south I went, but I went pretty far. And I had gotten a couple preferred walk-on offers from D1 schools. But my parents didn't make a lot of money at the time, and we couldn't afford college, so it was kind of like you got to get a scholarship or it's a bust. So after I finished going to all the D1 schools, I kind of sat down with my parents, and they were like, hey, you could still get a scholarship at D2 schools. So ended up going to Wingate's specialist camp and did really well there, and Coach Reich offered me a full scholarship right after the camp, and I committed a month and a half, 2 months later, and rest is history.
You can say something different to me off camera, but how does Los Angeles compare to Lowgap?
Well, Lowgap's got about 150, 200 people in it. Los Angeles has about 10 million. So you probably assume how that's like, but I mean, it's a city that never sleeps. It's beautiful out there, though. I will say that. A lot of people think LA's, not that pretty, but I mean, it's a beautiful city, and especially when you drive outside the city and you see the mountain ranges and everything, which is pretty close to home because I got a mountain range behind my house. But yeah, LA is an interesting city for sure. It's definitely got its perks and it's definitely got its downsides.
How long does it take you to drive to work or get to work?
So we actually don't. Our practice facility isn't in downtown LA, so it's actually not. We practice at Cal Lutheran. It's a little D3 school out there, and we live out in Thousand Oaks. It's a nice little small town for LA standards. It takes me about 15, 20 minutes. Now driving to SoFi, it could take you 45 minutes or it could take you 5 hours. It depends on how the 405 is doing that day.
Tell us what life as an NFL player is really like.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, we get Tuesday off. That's the only day you get off. Other than that, I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I get there at 6 o'clock, and I don't leave the facility till normally around 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the afternoon. So I mean, it's a full-time job. It can definitely get a little like rhythmic, just focusing on football, Monday through Sunday and all this. But being with your teammates and all that, I mean, we're all going through the same thing and we're all going through the same schedule. So it's nice to have people around you that are going through the same ordeal that you are, and it's good to also joke around with those guys, and it's a good time. They give us a little bit of free time at the facility to go eat lunch with the guys or just go hang out in the locker room. And we got a little putting machine in the locker room that the competitions in there get pretty heated sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a full-time job for sure. A lot of people don't understand we're putting in 12-hour days every day except for Tuesday, and even on Tuesday, a lot of the guys go in and get treatment for 4 hours. So I mean, every day we're working in the season, and then in the off season you'll probably take 2-3 weeks off where you just don't do anything, and it's right back to the drawing board. You're lifting, if you're a lineman, you're working on your steps, or if you're me, I'm working on my drops, my holds, my steps, everything. It's a full-time job because you're trying to be the best of the best. Like for me, my job, there's only 31 others in the world, and you got to be the top 32 in the world, and it takes a lot of time and effort to be one of those guys for sure.
How many months out of the year are you working?
For me, I'm a big lifting guy. So as soon as I got home, I started lifting. So I'd say I'm working 12 out of 12 months a year. Lifting is like the most important to me. Like I'm not the most technical kicker or punter, but I can kick harder than anybody in the world. Yeah. That's like my goal.
So a day that's 12 hours long, you say the work day's 12 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Segmentally, like tell me like tape room, workout, treatment, practice. Can you just those steps, can you tell me those briefly?
Yeah, so we'll get there in the morning, we'll eat breakfast, then we'll go into meetings. So we'll have special teams meeting, team meeting, all this other stuff. And then after that meeting, we go and do individual meetings with their coaches. So I'll go in with Coach Blackburn and we'll kind of run through the schedule of the day and like what we're doing special teams wise, or how many holds I need to get today and all this other stuff. And then after that, go recovery room, get all the recovery you need, whether it's sauna, ice, cold tub, or treatment with athletic trainers. And then after that, we go to walkthrough. For walkthrough for me is like 10 minutes because I only go out for special teams walkthrough. Go in, eat lunch. Then after that, you get like 30 minutes of like just free time, whatever you want to do. And most of the time, I just go take a little nap in the waterbed, and then go out to practice. You'll practice, and then we'll lift right after practice. That normally takes hour and a half, hour. Go shower, eat a little bit, then we'll go do individual meetings again. We'll run through all the film at practice, and after that, We kind of just sit and chit chat with the coach for a little bit, and then go home. I go home, eat, play a little video games, and I go to bed about 9 o'clock, and then same thing every day.
Okay. And you said you were back in Lowgap 2 days after the season ended?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when are you gonna go back to LA for work?
So they haven't told us yet, but I know it's in April, sometime in April. I don't know if it's beginning of April, middle of April, end of April, but I'm pretty sure it is before the draft, because the vets go out and we get a little bit more off-season training in before the rookies come in and everything, and we have mini camp and all that.
Yeah, I know you were named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week at least one time.
Mm-hmm.
It may have been more. Anything you want to talk about your accolades this year and the season you guys had as a team?
Yeah, so I definitely think going into this year, a lot of people kind of wrote us off like, oh, this is another rebuild year for the Rams, the gap and everything. We kind of walked in first day and we kind of said, you know what, it is what it is. We're just going to play our best ball, and we kind of like the role of being the underdog. First half of the season, we were 3-6, but then the bye week came at kind of the perfect time. A lot of guys were beat up, both physically, and then a lot of guys were mentally tired. And then the bye week came right at the halfway point of the season, so that was a perfect timing. And after the bye week, we came back and just went on a rampage. Only loss was to the Baltimore Ravens in overtime, but other than that, we played pretty clean ball the whole time. And then for me, I thought I had a pretty solid season. I mean, my main goal was to go in and just show the coaches and the owner and the GM, that they can trust me, and they made a great decision and drafted me. And I just wanted to go out there and whatever the team needed me to do at that point, I was going to do. As far as the accolades, the accolades is cool, but for me, I just want to go out there and play ball and be with my teammates and just have a good time.
So, Ethan, next season, what are you hoping for individually and as a team?
Individually, I just want to go out there and have a better season than I did this year. I definitely want to be in the top 10 statistically for sure, because if you're in the top 10 in the NFL for punting, you're pretty solid. And as a team, I think we kind of want to start off where we left off. It was a tough loss to the Lions, but I think we want to come back and play the same style of ball we were playing after the bye week. Just going out there and just Matthew Stafford being the gunslinger he is, and then our defense just being just outstanding, and then special teams going out and do what we need to do in the situation and just keep the ball rolling. Just hopefully get a shot at a title next year. That's always the goal of every team.
Anything funny, humorous, anything about yourself at all personally, as Ethan Evans, the human being, that you're willing to share publicly on camera here?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily funny, but a lot of people don't know. I'm a huge superhero fan. I love reading comic books and all that, and I love watching superhero movies, cartoons, all that other stuff. I don't watch your normal shows. Like I haven't watched Outer Banks, so a lot of people give me they talk pretty bad about me when they're like, dude, you haven't watched Outer Banks? Like, what are you doing? It's the greatest TV show of all time. Just normal TV shows like that I just don't find them amusing or, appealing or anything. But you put on like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, yeah, I'll sit and watch it again for like the 1,000th time. But yeah, that's pretty much a fun fact about me.
Any thoughts on what DC did with The Flash and the Blue Beetle movies?
Yeah, they weren't very good.
Oh, you didn't like them?
No. The Flash movie, the CGI was really bad. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I saw them both in the theater.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes where the CGI is just terrible. But DC has my favorite superhero movie of all time, the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, but that movie's pretty outstanding in my eyes, especially with the story behind it. His daughter sadly passed away, and he wasn't able to finish the movie. And then obviously Joss Whedon came in and just threw out garbage in that Justice League movie. And then Zack Snyder was like, hey, there's another version of this film that's 10 times better than this. And then obviously they released the Snyder Cut. The whole thing happened, and then Warner Bros. Was like, hey, we'll give you the money to finish it. And it came out, and it was just kind of like, wow.
I like the Batman with Pattinson. He really impressed me.
Oh
as a
yeah,
person.
that Batman movie is pretty. That's the most like comic book accurate Batman in my eyes.
That's what I told my wife. So what about James Gunn? He left, or they fired him in Marvel. He's running the show now with the DC universe.
I think that was a big mistake on Marvel's part, especially after he put out the Suicide Squad right after that. After he got fired, he put out the new Suicide Squad with John Cena and all them. I mean, that movie's definitely up there, and it's pretty hilarious, especially with John Cena in it. Yeah, I feel like he's going to do a great job.
What would you tell Surry County kids who want to play in the NFL or play professional football?
There's a whole big world out there. When I was in high school, and I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody, but there's a lot of people that didn't really understand what I was doing and like how much work I was putting in. You know, I wasn't going to hang out with my friends that much or anything, and you know, it can be hard at times because sometimes you just want to go out and be a kid. But the biggest thing I can tell people is that if you do make it to the NFL or whatever pro sporting organization you want to go to, it will change your life forever. Like, it is well worth, you know, not being called the cool kid, or, you know, not going to be able to go do the fun things that, you know, most high schoolers and teenagers do. And you can still do some of it for sure, but also have your priorities straight. You know, go out and explore the world, because it's a beautiful place, man.
Touch on how you played here at North Surrey. Anything you want to say about your time at North Surrey, and then what it's like to come back and get the attaboys come home? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, North Surrey was definitely like the most fun I've ever had playing football, for sure. Just because you go to class all day with these guys, and then, you know, they're some of your best friends. You know, some of my teammates from North Surrey I'm still really good friends with today. It's you know, it's just a fun time. You're all going through the same things, kind of like at the Rams. You're going to class all day, and then you come to practice. You know, sometimes you don't want to be at practice, but you know, all the guys here, they make it fun. You know, Friday night lights, there's still nothing like it. You know, even on Sunday night football, it's still just, you know, not Friday night lights. There's just something about playing on a Friday night than having the whole weekend off. But yeah, it was definitely the most fun I've ever had playing football, for sure. And, you know, having friends that I'll probably have for the rest of my life. And yeah, and then coming back and seeing, you know, with Coach Smith doing such a great job, you know, winning a conference championship again last season, you know, it's a great job. And I know it's a big deal for this school and for the kids playing too. So I know they're having a good time with him.
Anything you want to say? It sounds like you kept that hard work ethic you were taught. Anything you want to say about how Ethan Evans is still the same person at heart that he was when he was at North Surrey?
Yeah, I just have to give that to my parents. My parents kept me on the straight path pretty much the whole way through. They didn't let my head get too big. And you know, when something, you know, wrong happened, they wouldn't let me get too down on myself, and they would say like, hey, like, you know, stuff's gonna happen in life. You know, you gotta get back up, and it's how you respond. You know, with my mom, my dad. You know, my mom was a paramedic, and then my dad's a police officer. So, you know, hard work is what we do. And you know, I see my dad go work 12-hour shifts at night, get home, sleep 2 hours, and get up and go do it again. And do the same thing with my mom. So yeah, I could attribute all of that to them for sure.
Coach Smith, tell me about you guys. Were you on the coaching staff with Ethan?
No.
Okay.
No, I was not.
Or when you guys first met, or?
Yeah, so I think we met for the first time last summer when Ethan came down, and he was actually nice enough to talk to our guys during the summer workout portion of the season, and you know, and it was one of those things that you know, I didn't know Ethan on a personal level, but I'll never forget draft day, sitting at my house, you know, like, oh, all right, here we go, like round 7, here we go, this is it, and then team go by, and then the Rams pop up, and I see his name and see, you know, his hometown and stuff like that, and that was like very surreal, you know, just from us sharing the experience of North Surrey together, not at the same time, but just having that kind of connect us was something really cool. and then getting him to come and talk to our kids was phenomenal. You know, it was one of those things that it was just another piece, no matter how big or small he may think it was, but you know, something that I feel like got us over the edge, you know, because I felt like we were really challenging the kids for the first time in my tenure to put an entire spring, summer, preseason together that we knew could lead to us competing for a conference championship. And I felt like, you know, having him come in and show our guys that you know, a kid from Lowgap ends up in LA, not by accident, but by busting his tail every day and keeping his head down and taking the intangibles that the blue collar folks of our community instill in our young folks every day, that they could be in a position like that if they put their head down and go to work. And I, you know, like I said, to see that kind of come to fruition for a lot of our kids, for them to match, you know, his face and that LA Rams logo on his chest to you know, to the idea that he was sitting in the same lockers that they're sitting in, I think was really cool and really neat to see that kind of, you know, translate for them, and is something that is a goal of ours every day, is to try to give our kids fantastic role models that allow them to push themselves on a day in and day out basis. So it's a blessing to have someone like him, you know, forever a part of our alum and our brotherhood here at North Surry. And so, you know, I'm excited to see where that takes him.
Okay. And at what point in the season did Ethan speak to the players?
Yeah, so he came in and spoke during the summer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of like late June, early July. So like, it was kind of there when kids were getting tired, you know. And like you know, he spoke a very similar message to those kids as he has done in this interview. And I felt like that's what really got us over the hump, because like I said, I felt like we as a program we're taking the steps in the right direction, but we needed to finish the summer strong in order to be equipped to go out and compete in the regular season. And I firmly believe that his message resonated with a lot of our kids and helped us get over the hump in that middle portion of the summer, and we finished the off season really well, and that led to later success. So it was really cool to see that.
So you are an Ethan Evans fan, and you were watching him throughout the season.
Absolutely, I was. You know, it's one of those. It's hard to be an Ethan Evans fan, because like, you don't want them to punt, and so like, you know, you're sitting there and you're like, God, I'd love to see Ethan. I also don't want to see the Rams punt. So like, I'm watching the Lions game and I'm like, this is fantastic football. And I think you only got to punt once, right? Twice. You got to punt twice. But he had an awesome punt, dude, downing them inside the 15, and just seeing him on the field was phenomenal, and getting to watch that, and me texting all my group messages with my kids like, you need to be watching this game. This kid wore the same NS that you wear on a day-to-day, and that's so cool. And so yes, I'm a Panthers fan. By yeah, he laughs. It's fun. You can laugh right now. We'll wait until Ethan hits free agency, and then we'll get better. But you know, I'm a Panthers fan. You know, that's kind of, I grew up a Panthers fan, but I've converted into an Ethan Evans fan, and so as a result, I root for the Rams every Sunday. And like I said, it's so cool. It's so surreal, because this does not happen everywhere by any means. You know, like I said, there needs to be some fact check, but I'm pretty sure Ethan's the only modern day era Surry County draftee, and so the fact that we get to claim that here in North Surry High School is something that we wear really proudly, and we want to speak very loudly on. And so he knows that the door's always open here, and the field's always open when he's ready to come kick some bombs, and it'll be cool. We'll tell our kids to go try to catch them, and then we'll find out who the real punt returners are on our roster. But no, it's been phenomenal to see. It's been phenomenal to be a part of, and it's a blessing to just get to be in this capacity through your journey. So,
Ethan, how does it feel to know that you're probably the first Surry County product drafted in the modern day NFL draft?
It feels pretty cool. I mean, I didn't really focus on like, you know, the history behind it or anything. I was just out there just kicking a ball around, just trying to do what I was pushing myself to do. So, I mean, that's really cool. I didn't know that until today. So, yeah, I mean, that's really cool. It's good to be in the history books for sure.
Am I getting it right? I mean, you told me about your parents,
Mhm.
and your demeanor, very professional. Am I right that when I say you're the type to put your head down and go to work, you focus on what you're doing? Am I right about that?
Yes, sir.
This is a career.
Yes, sir.
This is not just Hollywood glitz, glamour,
No.
big money.
No.
You love doing this.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like football. I mean, it's the greatest team sport there is, without any doubt. And you know, the awards and you know the contracts and everything. It's all well and good, but a lot of people just don't understand. You know, when you're on a team, you're willing to do anything you can to help your brother out and you know get the win by any means necessary. And you know that's kind of like how that's how I've looked at football since I started playing. Was you know I don't care like what I got to do. Is just whatever I have to do to help the team win. You know, help my teammates out. That's what I'm going to do. And you know whatever comes up after that is all well and good. But for me, I just really care about just helping the team out and just getting a win. You know, being the best teammate I can.
And Coach Smith, would you like to share any information on the shadow box that's supposed to hang up here?
Yeah, you know, we as a staff been kind of talking about, you know, we talked about during this interview just the importance of having something tangible for our kids to see, that they can do anything that they put their mind to. That like what Ethan mentioned, that this, you know, that this is not the end of the road for them, and it's not necessarily just football. You know, it's really whatever career path that is, whatever next chapter that is, they could be the best in the world if they put their mind and their heart and their soul into it. And so we've been planning on finding a way to dedicate Ethan and that message in our locker room. So we're in the finishing stages of that, and we're going to have him come back by, and I'm not going to give a lot of details out right now because I want him to be surprised. But like I said, you know, our goal is to have something tangible for them on a day in and day out basis, because there's hard days. You know, this is not easy. Football is not for the weak, and so, you know, if there's something that we can give our guys to look up on the wall and see every day that motivates them, or you know, pushes them the extra ounce, or the you know, gets us to the 101%, that's what we want. And like I said, anytime that you're blessed to be in this position to have, you know, somebody that is a product of your program be one of the best 32 in the world, that needs to be as publicized as possible. So that's our goal, and we'll have that knocked out, and we'll have Ethan come back before he heads back to LA in April, and get him to kind of see a piece of him that's going to be here for, I can promise you, as long as I am.
Is there anything else either of you would like to share?
I'll just say, you know, whatever, you know, whoever's watching this, and you know, if you have a goal in mind, just go get it. Put everything you got into it. You know, don't make excuses. Some days are going to be harder than others, but just go, keep your head down, and just push and go get what you want.
No, I think that's the goal to be successful. I mean, we're both a part of football. We are at polar opposite ends of the spectrum. You being in the NFL and me being a high school football coach, but to me the same message resonates for both. So, you know, like what Ethan said, if you're watching this and you have dreams or you have an ambition, you know, my dream and ambition was to be a head football coach of my own program, and you know, like he said, you got to put your head down and you got to go to work. You know, there is no silver platter. You know, you got to put in the time and the effort. And you know, if a kid from Lowgap can do it, anybody can do it. And I pray that my kids see this and use this as motivators to push themselves and see what happens.
Cool. Anything else we good?
Go Hounds.
Go Rams. Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How we doing, Chase? I'm doing great. How are you? Hey, dude, I'll pack 2 suitcases up and do a cross-country road trip.
Woo! Let's go, baby.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's get to work. Yes, sir. Absolutely. We're gonna build a legacy. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Later. Rams.
Good job, man.
Oh shit. Get it, buddy.
Oh,
Good job. We did it. We did it.